Time of history's embrace, Captain's quarters sets the pace with Captain Mayhem at the helm. A voyage of knowledge, a story to round. Captain's quarters weekly delight, where history's treasures take flight. Led by Mayhem, Longwood, and Joe, they explore the past, row by row. Navigator Longwood charts the course, guiding listeners to knowledge.
Hi, there you are. Look at that. We're back with another episode of Captain's Quarters Podcast, episode 162, if I am correct. Right, Davey?
Correct.
Good, 162. 162 episodes, ladies and gentlemen. And how do you find us? How do you get connected with us? Let's see that, Davey. Go to YouTube, use that QR code, and catch up with us on Captain's Quarters Podcast. 3 things you must do. Like us. I always like it when people like me. Subscribe to us and follow us. That way you'll get all the tones and barriers and everything else you need to be a part of our show every week at 8 p.m. Monday, Eastern Standard Time. That is how you find us. We hope that you will be a part of the Captain's Quarters podcast crew. And of course, we're sponsored fully by the Pirate and Treasure Museum. If you need a good tour, come down and see me. I'll tell you all about the pirate history that has nothing to do with Disney. And I mentioned Disney because there's going to be something else coming up talking about Disney. You might notice a couple of extra characters on my desk. For now, though, ladies and gentlemen, we always do this one first. 8 Bells, sponsored by the family of reenactors known as the Riker family. They do Spanish, they do British, they do Ren Fair, and they do pirate and colonial, which is kind of a combination of all of them. They are fantastic reenactors. And they help me with the museum, the traveling museum that I take to all the festivals we do. They're knowledgeable and they're good with people. So the family Rikers, they are our sponsor of 8 Bells. How many do we have tonight, Davey?
We have 6.
6. Good. It won't be taxing me too much. Put it on the captain's specs. Let's see what we have. Sheldon Talmy, an American record producer, songwriter, and arranger, best known for his work in England in the 1960s with The Who, The Kinks, and many other artists. Talmy arranged and produced hits such as You Really Got Me by The Kinks, My Generation by The Who, and Friday on My Mind by the Easy Beats. He also played guitar or percussion on some of his productions. He was 87 years old, ladies and gentlemen. Roy Owen Haynes, an American jazz drummer in the 1950s. He was given the nickname Snap Crackle. He was among the most recorded drummers in jazz. In a career spanning over 8 decades, he played swing, bebop, jazz fusion, avant-garde jazz, and he is considered to have been a pioneer of jazz drumming. On December 22nd, 2010, he received a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award by the National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences, and he received the award at the Special Merit Award ceremony and nominees reception of the 54th Annual Grammy Awards on February 2012. He was 99 years old, ladies and gentlemen. Joanne Corey, an American plant biologist and geneticist. She was a professor and director of the Plant Molecular and Cellular Biology Laboratory at the Salk Institute for Biological Studies and an investigator of the Howard Hughes Medical Institute. Chori was elected as a foreign member of the Royal Society in 2011 and was a recipient of the 2018 Breakthrough Prize in Life Sciences and the 2019 Prince of Austria's Award for Technical and Scientific Research. She was 69 years old. Thomas Eugene Kurtz, an American computer scientist and educator, a Dartmouth professor of mathematics. He and colleague John G. Kenny set in motion the then revolutionary concept of making computers as freely available to college students as library books were by implementing the concept of time sharing at Dartmouth College. In the mission to allow non-expert users to interact with the computer, he co-developed the basic programming language and the Dartmouth time-sharing system during 63 to 64. In 91, the Computer Society honored Kurtz with the IEEE Computer Pioneer Award. And in 94, he was inducted as a fellow of the Association for Computing Machinery. He was 96 years old. Dennis Ronald Bryan, a Welsh rock drummer from Cardiff, best known for his work with the Bee Gees from 74 to 80. Bryan and Ringo Starr are the only drummers to have 5 songs in the top 10 Billboard chart simultaneously. He was 75. Theodore Ted Bevry Olson was an American lawyer who served as the 42nd Solicitor General of the United States from 2001 to 2004 in the George W. Bush administration. He previously served as the Assistant Attorney General. Assistant Attorney of the Office of Legal Counsel of the U.S. Department of Justice from 81 to 84 under President Ronald Reagan, and he was also longtime partner at the law firm Gibson Dunn. He was 84 years old. Ladies and gentlemen, 8 bells. We always like to show our honor and our respect to these people, their fans, and their families. 8 bells is the nautical and pirate way to honor. Davey, 8 bells. Very good, Davey. Not any celebrities really in that one this week. Kind of strange. All right. So we like to take it to a happier note, and Mini Mayhem is in the wings. Right, Davey?
He is.
And if he's there, then we know he's got a joke for us. So it's Joke of the Week with Mini Mayhem, sponsored by Salt City Comics, our good friend and artist out there in Utah, who has made the cartoon images of Davey and myself and Mandy Joe. And I just talked to him today for a few minutes. He's working on a new logo for Old City Pirate Fest for us. On that note, let's hear Joke of the Week.
Ahoy, mates! Mini Mayhem here with Joke of the Week. Sponsored by Salt City Comics. Why do pirates never lose in poker? Think about it, and I'll give you the answer at the end of the show.
All right, I have no idea. So at the end of the show, I guess I'm going to either be laughing or mad at Davey for coming up with another. We'll find out at the end of the show at the reveal. For now, though, Quote of the Week, sponsored by Spyglass Travel. Spyglass Travel, ladies and gentlemen, they are offering a wonderful walking tour of St. Augustine. If you want a walking tour of the oldest city in the United States, why, there you go. Call up my friends at Spyglass Travel. Not only do you get a good tour and a lot of history, but you get a good cardio because it's all walking. What is the quote of the week, Davey? However difficult life may seem, there is always something you can do and succeed at. Stephen Hawkins. And that would be a man that would tell you life can be difficult. That's a good quote, Davey. Very good. I appreciate that one. And we always like to talk about National Day of. And it's pretty easy this week. National Day of. There are 3. The first one is National Princess Day. Celebrate the princess and every girl by taking part in National Princess Day on November 18th. Perhaps you know a princess who shines because of her gift of laughter, making them smile, and maybe your princess shows her royal nature by her great acts of kindness and heart of gold. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, Davey surprised me. The picture in this is actually my granddaughter. My granddaughter has been doing pageants since she was about 5 years old, and I don't think there's anything she hasn't won yet. She keeps winning. She has been Miss Alabama Elementary School for the last couple of years, and she's now in the 5th grade. So she's about 11 years old, and she's just a lovely little girl. And I get to vicariously watch my granddaughter through all the posts of her Facebook page and all the contests that she's been in. And she does very well. I expect to see her higher and higher and higher as she grows into a young lady. So that is National Princess Day. The next one, happy birthday to Mickey Mouse. This is the birthday for Mickey Mouse. Now I have something here. I'm going to read a little bit more of this as soon as I make my other screen work. There it is right there. And there it is, Mickey Mouse. Now, ladies and gentlemen, on November 18th, Mickey Mouse's birthday commemorates the debut of a lovable mouse that was once a rabbit called Oswald. His character got his start on film on November 18th, 1928. But before that, the story begins in 1927, when Walt Disney first sketched a floppy-eared bunny while under contract to Universal Studios. The events that unraveled brought us Mickey Mouse. So I thought I'd share with you some of that. While his creator and studio have applied several different birth dates to the lovable mouse over the years, November 18th, 1928 was finalized as Mickey's birthday with stardom. Before that, Mickey Mouse came under the roller coaster events of Oswald's success and Universal disappointing contract negotiations. Disney Brothers Studio took their leave of both the studio and Oswald and set to work creating a character who would go on to lead the company into the future. From a rabbit named Oswald to a mouse named Mortimer. Eventually, the squeaky-voiced rodent was dubbed Mickey. His first two animated shorts were terrible flops. They did not do very well. But on November 18, 1928, Mickey's star was born, the first animation synchronized to music and sound effects, Steamboat Willie. And there you have it. There's much more, but I think that's enough for now. And then the last one, Davey. National Vichyssoise Day. November 18th recognizes a cold soup that is loved by many. It's National Vichyssoise Day. Made thick with pureed leeks, onions, and where did it all go? There it is. Something happened to my screen. Vichyssoise is served traditionally cold and sometimes even eaten hot. You know why pirates would not want this soup?
Because it leaks.
Because it has leeks in it. That's right. All right. So that's National Day of, which brings us to our question of the week. And the question of the week is this. Who is your favorite Disney character? If you're watching the show and in the gallery, we're all ears to hear what your favorite Disney character is. Let's see here. Going back over to my scripting, which is that one right there. Very good. And after quote of the week, question of the week, we always do This Week in Nautical History. Ladies and gentlemen, This Week in Nautical History is sponsored by, as it always has been for the past year, Florida Water Tours. You want a good tour of St. Augustine? By the water on the Matanzas River? Why, ladies and gentlemen, call up Florida Water Tours. Myself and my crew have been on 2 of them, and it is a wonderful way to view the city lights, which is starting up this weekend, now the Night of Lights. So, Florida Water Tours. What is...
Welcome to This Week in Nautical History, sponsored by our friends at Florida Water Tours. Experience the Intercoastal Waterway at its finest, featuring picture-perfect attractions. We begin this week in nautical history in the year 1497. Portuguese navigator Vasco da Gama reaches the Cape of Good Hope. 1595, English fleet led by Francis Drake and John Hawkins unsuccessfully attacks San Juan, Puerto Rico during the Anglo-Spanish War. 1620, the Mayflower reaches Cape Cod and explores the coast. 1820, whaling ship Essex attacked and sunk by a sperm whale in the southern Pacific. Only 8 of the 20 crewmen eventually survive, through cannibalism, inspiration for the novel Moby Dick. 1847, steamer Phoenix is lost on Lake Michigan, kills 200. 1861, the first petroleum shipment, 1,329 barrels, from the U.S. to Europe leaves Philadelphia, USA, for London, England on the Elizabeth Watts. 1905, the steamer Hilda sinks in the English Channel. 100 people drown. 1916, HMHS Britannic sinks in the Aegean Sea after a mine explodes, killing 30 people. 1943, World War II, German submarine U-536 sunk northeast of the Azores in the Atlantic Ocean by British and Canadian warships. 1944. First Japanese suicide submarine attack, Ulithi Atoll, Carolines. And finally, in 2007, MS Explorer, a cruise liner, sinks in the Antarctic Ocean south of Argentina after hitting an ice field near the South Shetland Islands. All 154 passenger and crew were rescued. And that was this week in nautical history.
Very good, Davey. Very, very good. We normally have a segment where we talk about any of the other crews that are supportive of us and their events that come up. But this week, it's pretty clear. It's pretty open. We don't have a whole lot going on with any of the crews. We've all finished out, and now we all get to relax through the holidays. For now, though, we'll move on. And when we move on, we're having our guest on board. Ladies and gentlemen, we have got two of my favorite ladies here in St. Augustine. They are part of and run and own, and, well, they make all the decisions too. They are from the tasting tours, and we're going to bring them on. Davey, you want to do? Ladies and gentlemen, look who I've got on board with me right now. I have Andrea and Joanne. These are the bosses and the owners of the tasting tours. And before I let you speak at all, I want to say this to everybody. You are entirely a woman-owned company, correct?
Yes.
And it makes me, I've been working with you for this. I'm going on my 4th year now. And that's one of the bragging things I tell people when I work for the Tasting Tours Company. You guys are hugely successful. You guys really provide such a great variety of tours. And the best part is you were smart enough to hire me.
Exactly.
That was number one right there.
Yeah, so let's do this. Joanna, since I've known you the longest, because we've been friends since 2009, we both worked on the first year of the Black Raven together. And we both realized there were other horizons, and I'll just put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you a chance to introduce yourself a little bit. Tell everybody, instead of me talking all the time, you tell us a little bit about you and what you want to do.
Well, I tell you, it was a complete pleasure working with you on the pirate ship.
Well, thank you.
Taught me so much. I came from little old Lake City, Florida, moved to St. Augustine, kind of thought I was going to retire, and next thing I know, I'm singing and dancing on a pirate ship, Jumpin' JoJo, and I meet this amazing man, Mayhem, and just really showed me that tourism industry, that service industry in St. Augustine, and I fell in love with it. I just absolutely fell in love with it, and so started tasting tours with my best friend, my BFF over here, and who else would I want to bring on than Captain Mayhem, who I just adored. So that's kind of my story.
Oh, bless your heart.
I'm just saying.
So,
and my best friends still think I was crazy, just by the way. I mean, coming from the real estate world to a singing, dancing pirate on a pirate ship.
Yeah.
No, right?
Mandy knows she's real estate, and she's a singing, dancing pirate too. Although she has more pirates to do it for her, so she does really well. And because there's not a whole lot of pirating going on out there in Utah, other than what she does, they really push towards the educational values of the children that they do things for.
Exactly.
So, Andrea, tell us about you then.
Well, I do come from a bit of a hospitality background because I come from the cruise ships. I worked on cruise ships for many years.
I knew it. You were on the Love Boat, weren't you?
I was I was. It was the best training ground ever. If you want to get in the hospitality industry and know about customer service, that is the training ground.
I could well imagine. Yes, very good. So how long how long have you two both been friends then? Before you started this?
Way before we started this, yes.
Okay, you don't have to give away any ages. It's okay.
That's okay. That's okay. Just like I said, both from Lake City, just kind of sowing our little oats here in St. Augustine and got together and said, we can do this.
So,
We love to eat. We love to drink wine.
And we like to talk.
And we like to cook. We do.
Say what?
so let's do this. The first question I have. Wait, go ahead. If you got something else to say it.
What better way to do what you love in life? Eat, drink, talk. Oh my goodness. Hello, food tours.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, and they're successful. So I have two questions to start our conversation.
Okay.
The first question, let's see, which one do I want to ask first? I'll ask this one. How did you come up with tasting tours as your name?
Gosh.
I think, didn't we have, Joanna, I think we had like this pad of paper that we probably wrote down like 100 things on while
Right.
drinking wine, of course. We were drinking wine.
Right.
You can come up
Yeah.
with the names.
Right. And we were thinking tasting is more than just food. You know what I mean? You can have a taste of history. You can have a taste, of St. Augustine. And it just kind of really enveloped, a taste of Nights of Lights. It's, we like to give you just that best, that good taste, that good bite.
It's a good name, and you have become quite well known. I would say in the state of Florida, you are probably in the top 5 tour companies in the state, at least the top 5.
I would dare to say.
At least. I mean, I might even go so far as to say you might be in the top 3 because you do so many tours, which brings it up.
We do.
Do you know how many tours you do in an entire year?
Oh,
I probably should have had my little math skills out better. I was sitting here thinking because we did start off as a food and wine tour company, but we also do Nights of Lights. We do the carriages and there's a kind of a little funny story. When we decided to start doing our Nights of Lights carriage rides, Andy actually thought of it. That was her brainstorm, and she said, "Oh, why don't we put a bottle of wine on a carriage and send them out? We're doing these great food tours. Let's sell them something else." Okay, that sounds perfect to me. We should do that. So the very first night we ever did it, I had to depart 2 carriages. And I'm just telling you, I worked my little fingers to the bone. I had to put them necklaces on. I had to board that carriage. We had 6 guests. I was exhausted. I was so mad because she wasn't there with me. And it's so funny because now we depart about 200 a night. And I'm thinking, I know, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Whenever you think
tell that
about.
story on you. I was going to tell that story, so I'm glad you did.
Okay. Because I was like, what? Why are we doing this? This is so hard. It's so hard.
Well, speaking of it being so hard, you guys don't really do any tours anymore. You have tour guides for you, don't you?
We do.
Yeah, so basically, really, in a pirate world, you're the slave masters.
In the pirate world, yes.
It could be.
But from my point of view and from what I do with you, your compensation towards your tourists, your tour guides is extremely fair.
Thank you. We're very proud of that. We are.
You should
Thank
be
you.
because you and I know the other character tour guides from the Night of Lights tours that you do. I know all of them, and there's not a one of them that has a negative word to say about you guys and your company. Not a one. And this is my 4th year. So you compensate, you take care of your people, and then at the end of the season, sometime in January, whenever, you have a little party and thank everybody, and you give away rewards. You let everybody know these 3 dots. You can only see them as gold dots up here. That's my 1st, 2nd, and 3rd year, and then I got a trophy. I don't even remember what the trophy was for, but I got a trophy, and you. I guess in my opinion, good leaders know that you have to intrinsically and extrinsically take care of your people.
You're
Exactly.
only as good as your staff. Your company is only as good as your staff, and we have an amazing staff, and
Yes,
everybody
we do.
should be rewarded and paid appropriately.
Exactly.
So let's see. What are some of the bars and restaurants on the tour? That's a good question. You want to answer that?
Oh, that's a great question.
It is.
Well, we
Yep.
probably have about a rotation of 30 that we actually choose from and you know, rotate on a daily basis. It depends on if we're doing a walking tour or a rolling tour, which is on our electric vehicles. It depends on which locations we'll go to, because like on the rolling and chauffeur tours, we want to hit places outside of the historic district so we can show people that there is more to St. Augustine than just St. George Street.
Yes.
More out there. There's more to experience. There's more to do.
That's right. We head over to the island.
Right. That's right. Head to the island. We may be at a little place called Odd Birds. We might be over there. You never know where we're going to sneak around to, but we're so lucky to have our vehicles to be able to get out of the historic district.
And the carts that you're talking about, they're 9 to 10 man carts, depending on the size of your riders.
Probably 8.
That's a good one. That can get a little tricky.
It can. And you have 3 of them.
We
Yes.
do.
I just wonder, are you thinking that you're going to have a 4th or a 5th one come up here in the next year or 2?
Do not
Oh,
encourage her.
I
What's that?
Her
know.
right now. Don't encourage
Every year I'm like, one more.
Yeah.
One more.
Yeah. So if those, most everybody probably knows the character I do for you. And just to kind of keep it almost semi-secretive, I'm just the jolly old guy that everybody loves at this time of year. Just in case there's any children around. But you have the Grinch,
We do.
you have Scrooge,
Yep.
you have Lump of Coal,
Yes.
and this year you have Beetlejuice.
A new addition this year.
So you have 5 characters, and I know that for me, I think I have like 90 tours set up with you guys already. They're solidly booked.
And it could be a lot more than that. I mean, you're a popular guy.
Yeah, it could be a lot more than that. They go ahead and book them all.
You sell out. If we have you there, it's sold out.
Well, that's always good to know, and it makes me proud too, because
Yes.
they're fun tours. I've met some great people. So I'm going to ask you a question, but I'm going to give you a second or two to think about it,
Yeah.
because I'm going to tell you something that I do, and I think I do this on the rides anyway. So I'm going to tell you some of my favorite things that have happened. Okay, but I'll be a little general about it. So you think about what some of the favorite things, maybe each of you tell me something really cool that has happened because of what you've done with this company and the tours. So I have a couple of families that know who I am underneath everything,
Right.
but their children don't. And so they will send me messages or emails and give me all kinds of the extra scoop on their children.
Oh, I love that.
So when they arrive, I know their names. I know if they've been doing good in school or bad in school, if they've been fighting with brother or sister, or they've done something wrong, or they've done something great. I know all these things. And then as you know, we let most of the children sit up in the front seat with me. And we have a conversation about whether or not they're really good boys or bad boys, good girls or bad girls. And one of the families has already booked again for sure, I know, because she told me her daughter can't figure out how Santa really knows so much about her. But she's reaching that age where the dawn of realization may happen soon, if you know if that makes sense.
Yes.
Sure.
So that has always been my most favorite thing to do about playing that character, because he's supposed to be magical and he's supposed to know. And if I can get that to happen, that's the best part for me, really, truly. So let's try Andrea first. Tell me, is there something that sticks in your mind, that an incident or something funny? It doesn't even have to be legal.
Yeah, we don't want We're not gonna name any of those. Okay. Oh goodness, I needed a second to think about that one. We might have to
Yeah.
go. But I think one of the most amazing things is, and you were kind of hinting and pointing at that, is that we have return guests constantly because of the quality of our, let's just focus on the Knights of Lights characters right now. I think because of the Knights of Lights characters and the quality of
Quality.
performance that
Mm-hmm.
each of the characters give to our audience, as you will, and the amount of return guests. And I think, and I do realize we posted something for your jolly person today, and it's just the essence captures, for example, what you are portraying to these people every year. It was a just the happiness and the essence of this joy that we captured in a photo, and I
Exactly.
love seeing that because our guests love it and they come back single year. Now, mind you,
Year after year.
that probably wasn't one of the stories you were talking about, but I was just thinking about that and wanted to put that out there. And, in the Grinch and all his shenanigans, people wait every year for that.
Oh, yeah.
They love the shenanigans, and our Grinches are really good at it.
Oh, and we hear about some of the shenanigans.
Okay.
And it gets a little crazy, and we're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, we do get to hear about it. Yeah.
I know what's funny to me is these older young adults that love going on these tours. They love the Santa tour even.
Yes.
I mean, we'll have a group of little millennials. I want to go on Santa, or the one Grinch, of course. So it's not just for little kids. It's crazy. They just love it.
It is. You have created something that really creates memories for the tourists,
Right.
and even the locals. It's not just tourists. You have locals going on your tours too.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I would actually venture to guess, if I was to looking at my tours, I would venture to guess that it might be pretty close to a 50-50.
Right. Agreed.
Locals. And when I say locals, I do mean like Palm Coast and Jacksonville too.
Exactly.
As opposed
Agreed.
to tourists who come here from Tampa and Miami to take your tours, or from Panama
Right.
City, from
Right.
counties away. I bet you if you were to do some research on it, you might find out that it might be 40-60, tourists 60-40.
Agreed.
But I think it'd be very close to 50%, because
Agreed.
you created something that creates a memory, and that's why you're getting, and repeat business is the telltale sign that you're doing the job right.
Right. There's a lot of those carts that are running around. Anybody can just drive a cart and show you the lights. I just feel like because of the quality, of our staff, the quality of our entertainers, of our characters, have such heart and have such a love for St. Augustine, for these children, for these adults, that makes all the difference in the world. It's not just a ride around to see the lights. It's a show. I mean, it's an experience.
It is. When I first came back to St. Augustine in 2007 and ended up doing this pirate thing and billing myself as the pirate magician, there were no pirate magicians up and down the entire East Coast. And now, 19, 20 years later, there are at least 3 or 4 other magicians doing their work as a pirate. It's the same with Santa. When I did the first year, now 4 years ago, there were no Santas on the cart.
None.
And now there's 2 or 3. And so which gives me plenty of cannon fodder, because we make sure that the children realize that I'm the real one and those are imposters.
What's the? I was trying to think of it while we were sitting here. Often emulated but never duplicated. Is that the same?
Absolutely, absolutely. You're right. So it's a lot of fun to create what we create, and share these experiences. So tell me something else. When you when you first started to come up with the idea for the Night of Lights characters, did you think it would have the success that it has?
No, no. The first time Corley, we were like, we had this extra cart. And we're like, well, maybe you should ride around and just show people the lights. And Corley goes, well, I could put on my Grinch outfit. I mean, it was like a $29.99 cheap Walmart Grinch
Yeah.
outfit.
Yeah.
And we were like, well, I don't know, Corley, maybe, when he picked up, maybe 20 rides or so that year. The next year, it quadrupled. The following year, he's calling like these professional costume mask and outfits. Now, these characters, you would not believe the amount of money that they have just into their character development. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, these masks that they have, they're thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
This isn't like a little, oh, let's go get a, like we did to begin with, our little $29.99 mask. Now these guys, they're committed. I mean, and Mayhem, I mean, it's not cheap to
My
really...
Santa Claus outfit, just the beard and the hair alone is hundreds of dollars.
Exactly.
And the coat and that leather belt and that leather pouch and the leather shoes.
Yeah.
I've got $1,000+ invested.
Easy. But that's the excellence, though. You know what I mean? And I feel like our guest, we set the standard. It's up here. So.
Yeah, some people don't know what started me on this Santa Claus kick, but I was in a Christmas show in Las Vegas for 3 or 4 years running with a Dolly Parton lookalike, a Patsy Cline lookalike, and a Reba McEntire looking like. It was that might have been the first indication that when I came here, I was going to work with another bunch of women, because it was all women. And I was, other than the band, I was the only person male in the show, and I was just there to MC and do magic in between the bits. But because it was a Christmas show, they had bought a Christmas Santa Claus outfit, and I had to come out as Santa Claus and give presents to Dolly, Reba, and Patsy Cline. And and because it was an adult show, the presents were adult, and but I had so much fun. And that year, one of those years, I asked them if they would not mind if I took the outfit, because there were some kids in the hospital I wanted to go visit, and they let me do it. And I had so much fun that when I came here, I had an outfit made, and I've been doing the beach for, 10, 11, 12 years. I used to do in-home visits, but when you guys got me hooked on this, your company, I practically can't take any other Santa Claus.
I know.
Yes, we reeled you in.
You reeled me in.
Reeled you in. I was like, come on, Mayhem, just a couple of weekends, a couple of tours.
Yeah, a couple of weekends.
But those kids, the kids are what get you, though. When you see that, their little faces light up, it's just like, oh.
It's great. It really is. And you've got a great company, and I understand you're branching out in 2025 to Amelia Island.
Yeah.
That's good. You do corporate work up in corporate tours in Jacksonville.
Yes.
And now you're branching out into Amelia Island for corporate tours also.
Yes.
So you really are branching out, and it's just amazing. You've been in business since 2011, so that's only 13 years. But it seems like it's a lot longer because you've just been so busy doing everything.
Right. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
If anybody's interested, we're running the website at the bottom of the screen, and go there and look at the Night of Lights segment of the tasting tours. But the rest of the year, you do food, restaurant, bar, and carriage tours all the rest of the year. And we've often talked about, because once the 24th of December comes around, Santa's gone. And so we tried last year, not great success, but this year it's picked up a little bit more. Captain Mayhem is going to take the cart and do about 11 or 12 nights. And there's some bookings already picking up. I got some ideas on how to sell it. So you can come and take a ride around the Night of Lights with Captain Mayhem. Oh, very good. I wholeheartedly approve of all the pictures. Very good. So, as Santa, I still get to be kind of a smart aleck. So we were talking about some of our favorite things. So I'm going to tell you one of the things I love to do. I love it. But I'm an improv actor, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know that, Joanne.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So when we go down Avonlea Street, there's people sitting out on the curb, not the curb, but on the sidewalk at the restaurants. And the Italian restaurant there, I'm really good friends with them.
Yep,
And I love it when I'm driving down the street and we go really slow and we start I get the kids to go, hey, ask them for a roll or tell them you're thirsty or whatever else. And so the kids get involved with Santa being mischievous. My favorite is when I've got a table of kids playing on their cell phones.
Their phones.
And I always stop and I go, Santa says, put your cell phone away and talk to your mom and dad and your brothers and sisters.
Oh, yes.
And the kids just go, and they'll put them away. One time there was a mom and she was playing on her phone and the kids didn't have one. And I said, mom should pay attention to their children. Put your cell phone away. And she put it away. I get to be a smart aleck in costume, like as a pirate also. But I couldn't get away with saying any of those things in regular clothing.
No, exactly.
But I can have some fun with it. So it looks like Andrea dropped offline, but I think she's trying to pop back in again. So
Yes.
it depends on your internet connection and Wi-Fi how well this works. So do you see anything? Do you see any other branching out that you're going to do with this company, or do you have ideas, or do you have things you don't want to say yet?
I know, right? It was so crazy because, right before COVID hit, we had basically opened up in Cape May. We were heading up north. We had a young Flagler student that was one of our tour guides that was from up there. And he put the whole tour together, went up there. We had it all going. And then, of course, COVID hit. And you can only imagine what COVID did to a food and wine tour.
Absolutely.
Right. So we still have aspirations of kind of getting up north, but for right now, Jacksonville's a huge area for us, and Amelia Island, obviously. We would love to kind of even sneak into Jekyll Island. We took a few little trips up there. Great little island, great little venues up there. So yeah, we've got some ideas for sure.
I just did the Jekyll and Hyde Comic Con up there in October. There. Not only Ancient City Tour, but there's several other cons now that I'm being invited to, and we get to have a table and a space and advertise Mayhem or the Pirate Museum or our podcast and all of the people that we have that work with us as sponsors or whatever. And Mandy has a friend that has a ownership in probably one of the larger cons, and there are 3 of them in the country, and one of them's in Tampa in the summertime. And we have nothing going on really in the summertime, so we're going to go and take that one over. And,
nice.
Just run pirates there. So it's really branching out can be good. And Jekyll Island is right. You're right. It's a really good one. Jekyll and
It is. You're just kind of sneaking on up there. So
we're going to go back and do it again. I think this was the first year the new owner took over because it was a failing event for the last several years, and he made some good changes, but we'll see what happens. So we're planning on doing that one again, and that one's in October, and then Ancient City Con is in September. But we get a lot of people that come and see us, and then they want to come down to the Pirate Museum, or they come to our Halloween event, or they come to our Pirate Festival. So branching out is not a bad thing.
Right.
Not a bad thing at all. So it works really well. You do horse carriages, you do restaurants, you do bars, you do Santa, the Grinch, Beetlejuice. There's a good one right there. Look at that.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
Carriage ride. In fact, you completely drowned Davey with all your pictures. So let's show a few pictures. And if something pops up that you want to say something about, go ahead and say something.
Yes.
But
Well, I will tell you kind of a funny story because when you look at this picture right here, there's, the beautiful two glasses of wine, gorgeous couple. They're riding on a carriage. Well, back in 2013, did you know that was illegal?
yeah,
You were not allowed to have wine on carriages. Well, nobody told us because we saw all these weddings happening and they were riding around doing toasts with their champagne. So when we started doing this, we were like, "Oh yeah, this is great." Well, one day we got a little notice in the mail saying, "Yeah, that's illegal. You can't have wine on carriages." Completely shut us down. We were shut down for 6 months. We had to go to the city and we had to actually get an ordinance change. Now, guys, that's not easy in the
no, that's
oldest
not.
city. That is not easy. We had to go through meeting after meeting after meeting, and it was so hard, but we had such amazing support and we were able to get the ordinance change. When you were talking about Jessica Clark earlier, she came down and interviewed us because she was like, "I can't believe this is happening. Who would have ever thought you couldn't have wine on carriages?" I'm like, "Hello, we didn't know." So when that ordinance was changed, that's kind of our claim to fame, I feel like, because it was illegal in St. Augustine until the tasting tours came along and helped all these carriage companies out and got the ordinance changed.
Well, I constantly see people walking up down St. George Street and they're carrying drinks and they don't know because
They don't know.
you go to any other city, Tybee Island, Savannah,
Right.
you're allowed to walk around with your alcohol and they just won't let that happen here. I know eventually, maybe somewhere along the line, it may change because if it's done proper, if it's done with guidance and supervision, it's not a bad thing, and it enhances the tourist experience here, which because you're doing it on your carriage rides.
Well, Mayhem, you remember our 450th when we
Right?
had our big birthday celebration? They actually cordoned off, that historic district, and you could walk around with your alcohol for one night.
One
And they
night.
had the bands, and it was so nice. It was so fun.
Yeah.
You know.
And they need to the city needs to be more accepting to some of these things, the changes that happen. But it's good that you were able to get the ordinance changed.
Yeah, it was huge. Andy and I fought very, very hard on that.
So you got the ordinance changed.
Again now, by the way. Sorry, I lost sound. I'm back.
Yeah, we figured you it only went blank because you had to go fill your glass again. That's all.
Yeah, right?
So there's a good one.
Oh, fun.
Where is that? I don't.
That
Andy,
was
where is that? Is that Colonial Quarters, maybe? Where is
No.
that?
Is that the
Oh, that's Casa Divino, is it not?
yes, Casa Divino.
Oh, Casa Divino. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
the
so,
pub crawl.
yes, and that's Beetlejuice.
That is Beetlejuice in his red wedding outfit.
Yeah. And Casa Divino is a great. I love Casa Divino. Do you
Oh, one of our favorite stops.
Yeah, I love it. I just noticed I was in there a week ago, and they raised the roof on their tent to a higher level.
Oh,
Yes, the tent was a little shorter, but it's now taller, and they put look like some inexpensive chandeliers in there for the atmosphere. So if you
I'm
haven't been
sure that
around,
took a few ordinance changes.
yeah, every time you turn around in St. Augustine, something changes anyway. So, tell us. Well, this might not be a fair question. This would put you in a bad position. I was going to say, tell me some of your favorite stops for St. Augustine, but that might alienate a few people if we don't mention.
If we leave, we will get the phone call tonight.
Yeah.
Tonight.
Let's not answer that. Let me just say, I like Casa Divino.
Yes, we do too.
You don't do anything with the Colonial Quarter, though, do you?
We have with our corporate tours.
Okay, with your corporate.
Yeah, we'll have our opening social there. Where they'll all meet there just to kind of come together, and then we'll kind of split off into groups and do our regular food tour. So that's with the walking, though. with the rolling, we can kind of get out a little bit further because, like, we love Carrera because we go over there quite a bit whenever we're able to roll a little bit further. But walking,
Well, we researched the idea and we talk about it. I know we've talked about it the last 2 years. We've researched the idea of doing a Captain Mayhem rum tour.
Yes, yeah.
And I think I'm reaching the point where it might be a good idea that I become more serious about doing it in 2025.
Heck yeah.
So, and it would be just a Captain Mayhem walking rum tour, which means that I could have at least a rum or two also. But because it's not going to be very fair for a pirate to give everybody else rum and I have to sit there and watch them drink it. That's not fair. But I think it could be a lot of fun.
Yes.
And we just have to find some of the right locations. And I know that any of the 3 bars in the Colonial Quarter would be very open to that.
Absolutely. Yeah, we love working with them.
So that would be a good starting point at least. So we do, after this holiday season, maybe we should sit down and see what we can do and add Captain Mayhem to your vast expanse of social workers.
For sure. For
so
sure.
When you book these tours, almost all of it now is automated through your website, correct?
Yes.
So
yes.
That just has me ask the question then. Everything's automated through your website. You have tour guides to do all the work. What in the hell do you two do?
Oh.
I'm kidding.
Just paint our toenails and eat bonbons.
And drink wine. And drink wine. And talk.
Drink wine.
And talk. Yes. Okay. No, but in all seriousness, it's not easy to run a company.
It's not. It's
the volume that you put out.
We are behind the scenes now, and it takes a lot behind the scenes. Joanna takes care of all our financial, legal, and there's tons because we have a lot of employees now. And then I'm doing the marketing and social media and website and whatnot. So there's ton, and there's more to it than that, but it's a lot behind the scenes to keep this company going for the people who are in front of the scene.
Right. I think we've enjoyed that though. Because we were the only tour guides. For the first 5 years, we starved. It was us. It was Andy and I every week. We were the ones doing the tour. So we really enjoy kind of stepping back, and watching this new breed of tour guides come up and do our food and wine tours.
So how many employees / tour guides do you have? Because some of the people you have are, as I would put it, they're wranglers. They help you keep everything in line, especially on the Night of Lights tours. You have to have somebody there to wrangle and keep everything going. So
that's a question.
I'm not actually an employee. I'm more of a contracted entertainer for you.
Right. So, you are talent. You are our talent. You are our yes.
So I'm sure that you have a combination of employee and talent. So how many people do you have working for you now? Do you know?
Okay, it's crazy. Like right now, and it's funny that you should ask this tonight because tonight was on our onboarding for all of our seasonal employees for Nights of Lights. So I just onboarded 16 new people that will work through our whole Nights of Light season that are just seasonal, but they are employees. Regular staff employees, we have 14 that are full-time. Our tour guides are now employees as well. They're not independent contractors. So we have 14 full-time regular employees. Then we have the 16 new that we'll bring in for Nights of Lights. And then we have 4 talent contractors that we bring in for our Nights of Light season, which, so thankful to have you, Mayhem. So we've kind of transitioned more because, the guidelines for employees it evolves every year.
Yes.
So
absolutely. Yes. Well, that means you've got over 30 people working for you.
We do.
That's a pretty good company. That's impressive. So, and you do something else and it's, how do I put this? You do something else that people don't may not catch right away, but you are creating. I know you believe in this, as I do, and that is keep local money local.
Right there.
And you are
We
doing
love that.
because almost all the restaurants and the bars that you use is a bad word, but that you visit, we'll use that word. Almost all of them are they're not corporate places.
They're mom and pops.
They're mom and pops.
Yeah, yeah, they're our local.
Owned by families here or
Right,
people
right.
here. And so you are really, without bragging about it, you're pushing local money local very strongly.
Yeah, it
Local, absolutely.
blows my mind sometimes whenever I look at, because we were talking about this the other day, Andy and I, because we were over in Jacksonville, looking at, kind of building that market a little bit too. And we were telling them what we did in St. Augustine, because, we'll spend on our venues on average about $300,000 a year just on our local venues. All our little mom and pops, because we take all of our tours there. And we were saying over the last 5 years, we've put $1 million into the economy, into downtown St. Augustine, supporting our venues, putting the money back in.
Right.
You know what I mean? It means so much to us to do that, to support local.
Yeah, and it is important because St. Augustine is no longer the little drinking town with a fishing problem.
Exactly.
It is a tourist town, and there's not a season here anymore. I mean, there's a holiday season, and there's a spring season, and then there's a summer season, but we don't have there's not a lot of downtime seasons in St. Augustine. The only time I'm affected by it is because of the museum. A good portion of the tours we do at the museum are educational or school tours, and there are certain times of the year that we don't have any. So that makes a big difference. But St. Augustine, if it wasn't for tourism, and I'm a native here, I remember St. George Street was a street you could drive on. And my grandmother's house was out on 4th Street, just down the way from the pier, and that's where we spent our summers. And St. Augustine has changed since the 1960s greatly. But the changes for all those people that bitch and moan and complain, and I'll use that word, and if nobody likes it, I'm sorry, but for all of that, most of the changes you can't help, and many of them have created such a positive for the city, and you're part of it. That's the best part. You are part of it, and you really create these memories for people. I have people that come to the museum. January 1st starts my 15th year. I have people that have come to the museum around the same time every year and make me stand in the exact same position with their children.
Take a picture.
The picture 3, 4, 5 years in a row. I'm sure you get the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of, yes. I think the main point is, as far as the food tours are concerned, if we're getting back to that point, is that we like to introduce, whether it be locals, believe it or not, and our visitors to places that they are not going to be able to find on their, or most likely would not be able to find on their own.
Right.
Even locals going on the tour saying, I never knew this existed. Well, fantastic. I'm glad you came with us, because we can show you there is more. Once again, even though St. George Street is wonderful, there is more to St. Augustine than St. George Street. And there's a lot more venues out there to visit than just walking through St. George Street as well.
So here's a question that just popped in my head. With all the years you've been doing this now, have you actually had, because it's happened to me a time or two also, have you actually had any celebrities, known celebrities, come and take your tour?
A lot of Jaguar players.
Yeah,
our tour. A lot of Jags come over and take our tour.
When I got the Rose Award, which is for best tourist,
that was amazing. Yes, that was amazing.
The gentleman that was up on the MC had taken my Santa Claus tour that year. So there's a quick video, and when he handed me it, I went and I leaned in close and I said, ho, ho, ho. And he looked at me and went, ah. He had no idea, no clue whatsoever. So I
love that. I love it.
And we talked about this. So your four characters are Corley, Scott, myself, and now Cole.
Mm-hmm.
And Corley's been, and I think I actually listed them in the order they've been with you. Corley's been with you almost since the very beginning.
Yes. Yes.
And then you've got Scott, and both of them make great Grinches.
Yes.
Scott does a pretty good Beetlejuice too.
Yes, he does.
And Corley
And
does.
Scott was on the pirate ship with us.
Yes, Scott was on the pirate ship with us.
I think one that wasn't there.
I know. She knew me then, but she was one of the ones going, "What are you doing?" I'm like, I don't know.
Now, is Scott an employee of yours now?
Yes, Scott's an employee.
Yeah, very good. So it's fun for me doing these tours. It is a wear out. I can tell you that, especially
I know it is.
Especially at my age now, I'm getting to that point. And I actually, just so people understand, I actually told you both in our emails at the beginning, I don't want to do as many as I did last year.
I know. We had to cut you back. You were like, "You're killing me."
I do every day. Hey, can we add a couple more
Just
every
one more.
I think you've added just as many as I didn't want to do. Because when it comes to
request, they're requesting you. They're begging.
They're not just asking for, I tell people when they call up and they want to get Mayhem, they're not asking for any other pirate. They want Mayhem.
They want Mayhem.
And you can't send another pirate in my place. It's the same. It's the same with Santa.
Same with Santa. They would know. Huh?
With your indulgence and with your help and with your support, I have created through your company some grand memories for a lot of children.
Yes.
And
we appreciate that.
Yeah, it's hard to say no. It really is.
I know.
Anna's not very good at saying no.
She doesn't take no real well either. She
doesn't take no real well. And because Santa knows that you've both been good girls all year, I have to help you out a little bit. But that might be because Santa doesn't want to pay attention to anything else. I mean, it might be good girls in public, but we'll leave it at that. So
we know nothing.
So Davey, we're going to let the girls stay on because we only have a little bit more of the show to do. But we always go from this into This Week in History, like our This Week in Nautical History. Did you see a few things that were interesting to you? We're going to do This Week in History now. And then when we come back, I do for lack of a better thing, I do a kind of a speech, something that I write because I like to write, where I find something wrong with the world and I shout out about it. And then we'll go into our joke, reveal of the joke. But I always like to give my guests the final word right after we do our thank yous to everybody. So please stay with us and we'll get through all that. And then this gives you an opportunity to think what you want to say as your final words. You get the final words before we sign off. Okay? All right. So Davey, our This Week's in History is sponsored by Dick's Wings. You want a good lunch? Man, I'll tell you what, they got a $5 Tuesday burger. It's great. And it's huge. You want fries, it's a little extra, but $5 for a burger with all the fixings, it's a great way to go. And I took David there for lunch this past week, last week, and we had lunch there, and it was well worth it. We got a chance to sit and talk about the show and do what we can. So Dick's Wings. And the reason they're so busy is because the man that owns Dick's Wings here at US 1, out by the shores, he bought another one up in the Jacksonville area now. So we're going to be bringing him on board for some other things too. But enough said. This Week in History, Davey.
Welcome to This Week in History, sponsored by our good friends at Dick's Wings Bar and Grill. Wings, salads, wraps, quesadillas, and more. No matter what your taste buds crave, they've got you covered. We begin This Week in History in the year 1626. St. Peter's Basilica is consecrated in Rome, replacing an earlier basilica on the same site and becoming the world's largest Christian basilica. 1863. U.S. President Abraham Lincoln delivers his Gettysburg Address beginning 7 years ago. 1921. U.S. President Warren G. Harding signs Willis-Campbell Act, forbidding doctors prescribing beer or liquor for medicinal purpose. 1928. Walt Disney's Steamboat Willie released for first Mickey Mouse sound cartoon. 1931. Horror film Frankenstein is released, starring Boris Karloff as the monster, directed by James Whale, and based on Mary Shelley's 1818 novel Frankenstein, or The Modern Prometheus. 1939. Comic superheroes Flash, as Jay Garrick, and Hawkman Carter Hall first appear in Flash Comics #1, published by DC. 1944, World War II, U.S. President Franklin Roosevelt announces the 6th War Loan Drive, aimed at selling $14 billion in war bonds to help pay for the war effort. 1945. The Nuremberg war trials begin as 24 Nazi leaders are put on trial before judges representing the victorious Allied powers. 1974. Amendments to the Freedom of Information Act broadening public access to U.S. government actions passed by Congress over President Gerald Ford's veto. 1979. Senate report proves U.S. troops in Vietnam were exposed to the toxic chemical defoliant agent orange. 1984. Fred Rogers of PBS, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, presents a sweater to Smithsonian Institution. 1989. Law banning smoking on most domestic flights signed by U.S. President George H.W. Bush. And finally, in 2014, Republicans condemn U.S. President Obama's use of executive powers to force through immigration reform. And that was This Week in History.
Very good, Davey. It's always fun to learn new things and share history of all kinds with all of our listeners. And as always, everybody can watch any of these 162 episodes on our YouTube channel. We are getting good hits all the way around, and we'll talk about that more later. We normally like to tell you about who's guests on board, and I did not get that to Mandy Jo to make the little clip that she does for us. But I will tell you that the owners of Mayhem's Hot Sauce, believe it or not, there is a Mayhem's Hot Sauce. They will be guests on our show sometime in December. And also Gonzo from one of the pirate radio shows will be on our show as well. The exact dates in December, I can't remember. And because of some last minute changes to tours at the museum today, I had to rush out and take care of that. So we're going to just move on to From the Captain's Desk. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Ideas, Thoughts, Reflections and Words, sponsored by my good friends at Marco's Pizza. If you haven't tried their pizza yet, my goodness, is it wonderful. And my wife was in Tucson, Arizona for the last 3 weeks, and she found a Marco's out there, and she tried it out there just as good. So they must be doing something right. Marco's Pizza. They're a big supporter of this podcast and will be a big supporter of Old City Pirate Fest in February. So Now, this one's a little bit longer, ladies and gentlemen, than normal, so please bear with me as I try to express my thoughts and share them with you. I am dismayed at the lack of civility, manners, and concerns for our neighbors and friends, and just an overall general attitude lately of self over us. We are supposed to be citizens of the greatest country in the world, where you are entitled to express your words, your thoughts, and your opinions. Even if they differ from others, you still have that privilege and right. It is a freedom and the right of every citizen of this great country, but it comes with great responsibilities. Last week's Captain's Quarters podcast show was all about veterans on Veterans Day, and I had 4 fellow vets as guests on the show, and we sat around the big table. And with Davey and myself, we had 6 vets on the show, an accumulation of service to our country of over 70 years. We sat around the captain's table and talked about our lives in the military, our purpose, and our reasons for devoted service and loyalty to our country. It was episode 161. This particular show is now one of my favorites. It is a surprise. Not all of the 6 of us voted for the same candidates or the same issues as each other, both national and state. What? Yes. Yes. There was a difference in who and what we all voted for. Yet we sat at the table for almost 2 hours and not one disparaging word was said from any one of us to any one of them. Again, what? Yes. 6 friends, 6 vets, all with separate opinions, enjoyed a conversation based on mutual respect. How in the hell is that possible? There was no doom, no gloom, no threats to cause harm to anyone, but yet there was an understanding among us that the system worked, and we all as vets can actually be proud to say we played a small part in the fact that the voting system does work. Whether you agree or disagree, the system did work. And every time there is another election, the citizens will once again have the privilege to vote and make changes. Because 6 vets on my show and thousands of vets across the country served so all citizens could have that right, that privilege, and responsibility. So now, for all you doomsayers, you're the actual problem now. Your words of hate, destruction towards your fellow citizens who exercise the same rights you showed now shows you have a lack of civility, manners, and concern for your fellow citizens. You are reacting to things that haven't even happened yet, nor will they actually happen if you actually understood the process that just began, and the fact that not everyone gets their way in a voting process is not supposed to be a problem. This is why we vote for our leaders every 2 and 4 years, from local to federal. Your crying, your ugly words and threats do not help your cause and concerns, but actually gives those on the winning side even more confidence that how they voted was probably the right thing to do. There are now threats by people to leave the country, threats that you will do everything you can to destroy something before it even is proven to be right or wrong and the possible right path to take. But your disparaging remarks and attitude for your concerns and issues of possible change will ensure there will be no success at all, which in the long run stalls the growth and strength that is always needed to move forward. It's kind of like not liking the birthday party you were invited to because you don't like the birthday guest of honor. So you won't go, but you will talk ugly about everyone, yet the birthday party will still go on anyway, and many that went will have a good time, and after the fact, you will just be pissy, left behind, and ignored. Oh, or it could be you're that kid that gets mad because you didn't get picked to play on either side of the kickball team, yet the ball belongs to you, so you take your ball and go home. We that want to play out the game will get another ball, and you will be left alone at home playing with your balls. Obama, when Obama won, many people said, he ain't my president, which is the wrong thing to tell a military person. Yet he won 2 terms, and people said, he ain't my president. And all those in favor of Obama told those that didn't like this idea to shut the F up and live with it. And then the world didn't end. Then Biden wins, and the same shut the F up attitude happened all over again. Now we're being told the same thing for Biden. Now, for some of you, that means now the shoe is on the other foot. And if you were in the camp that said, shut the F up, I guess like a pendulum, it swings equally both directions. So now it's your turn. Historically, the leadership of this country over the last 248 years is most certainly a pendulum of history, not swinging to either side because leaders and all are powerful, but swinging to either side because citizens change things with the power of their vote. Bottom line, do I like the president of the United States that's been elected? Nope, not really. But I also didn't vote based on my feelings or my likes. I based my vote on my opinion and thoughts, which is as I said, is the beginning we are all entitled to. Choosing your leaders is not or should not be based on likes and love. Leave that to your Facebook page. I had some officers I worked with in the military, with and for, during my military service. I respected them. I followed their orders and directives, not because I liked them, because they were good leaders whose concern was for the men and women under them. I have friends on both sides of this past election process. I have not, like a spoiled first grader, unfriended, disparaged, or harmed anyone that does not agree with me. I can and will have a civil conversation with anybody on everything related to history, civics, and religion and life. I have lived that thought as a historian on St. Augustine history and pirate history now for almost 20 years. By adhering to my own standards of manners and civility when it comes to the differences of opinion. You're entitled to yours, I'm entitled to mine, and we don't have to hate each other for it. You have 2 ears and 2 eyes and 1 mouth to watch and hear twice as much as you speak. But notice I said speak, not scream, not yell, not shriek, not threaten, and no profanity, but speak in a respectful tone. Consider this last thought. We as citizens should always react to what does happen in our country, not to what might happen. Like the story of Chicken Little. Sound familiar? And those are my words. But if you honestly think that this country is sinking like a ship in the ocean and want to save it, then start bailing and quit drilling holes. Otherwise, the course is doomed before it even starts. And those are my thoughts. On that note, I close
Excellent.
that. And sometimes I'll get some ugly mail now, but I enjoy it because it means I struck a chord. Or an accord. All right, let's have the joke of the week. Come on, Mini Mayhem, tell us what the answer is.
Okay, it's time for the answer to the joke of the week. Why do pirates never lose in poker? The answer is they always have a good hand on deck.
Oh, I won't be using that. Nope.
Joanne's laughing.
So, ladies, we do a quick thank you to everybody, show our numbers, and I'm going to give you the last word. And when the show does close, don't run away right away. We have a few seconds to talk when nobody can see us. So, Davey, let's give a thank you to everybody that deserves a thank you and an appreciation.
The Captain's Quarters podcast is indeed a ship sailing the seas of the world, always in search of history, knowledge, and adventure. It takes a crew to run a ship, so we take this opportunity to thank those who help keep this ship afloat.
The cast and crew: Captain William Mayhem, Navigator Davy Longwood, Gunner Hellfire Henley, Cartographer Mandy Joe, the Powder Monkey, and Juan Cam.
Helping others gives a crew purpose. Our treasured charities that we support: Inc., investing in kids; the Humane Society of St. Johns County; Aelia's Acres, a no-kill animal rescue zone; and the Cadets of the St. Johns County Fire Department. The 4 major charities that we support, but there's always room for more.
You too can be part of the crew and support the show in many ways. Go to Patreon. A small monthly contribution as Powder Monkey or First Mate memberships, or a single contribution. PayPal or Venmo. Go to YouTube. Hit the like and follow buttons to join our ranks and support the show. It does take a crew. Thank you.
Very good, Davey. Show our platforms. Ladies and gentlemen, at the end of this show, it downloads to YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitch. But if you just want to listen to us, you can listen to us on iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Twitter, CastBox, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and believe it or not, Spotify. And you can watch us on Spotify too. And as I always say at the end of every show, one of these days, I'm going to give Joe Rogan a run for his money. So there you have it. That's how you can watch us, ladies and gentlemen. And it's wonderful to have people watching us and listening to us. Show our numbers, Davey. Are we doing good?
We are.
Excellent, Davey, excellent. And of course, put our email across the screen so people can see. But at this point right now, ladies, I have to say thank you very much. I do have, and when I see you the first time, which I may see you over the weekend, right? Maybe. Mm-hmm. Although sometimes I never see you. You guys are hiding out. But I have a gift for you. We have crew coins that we give. And see if I can get close enough for you to see it. But you can see our crew coins. On one side, it has a cartoon of all of the crew. Let's see. There we go, kind of. Yep, there you go. There. And on the other side, it has our sign-out code. The way we close every one of our shows, which you're going to hear in just a minute. But on that note, Joanne, I've known you the longest, so I give you first chance.
Aw. Well, Mayhem, you are like one of my favorite humans ever. And it has just been a blessing and a pleasure to be on this tonight. And thank you, because it was hard. It's hard. We go to bed early, but I was like, we are doing this. And I am so glad we did, because this was just awesome.
Well, I thank you for being on the show. I know I've been trying to get you on for over a year, and you guys are very, very busy. But I do want to get you involved in the show too. I do want to see what we can do about having you be a part of the show, like some of these other great sponsors have. Because I think that having you on the show, not only is it good for us, but I think it's good for you guys too, because it puts your word out there. As you can see, we've got 1,600 plus followers now, and that's a lot in a 3-year period of time, and we're coming up with more and more ways to do that. So, Andrea, what do you have to say?
And congrats on that, by the way. And to go back to where you were on the vet show, we also want to say thank you to all of our service personnel or present. And we go U.S. Woo! Yes. So that's awesome that you did that show. That's great. We thank you so much for having us, and we're looking forward to a fantastic season coming up. And we look forward to all that you bring to the table. We're very excited about it, and we appreciate it.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun. You do have one person I know for sure is a vet, Lisa, right?
Yes, yeah, Lisa's a vet. Yeah, she's one of our staff.
And in fact, I ran into her the other night at the Blackbeard Bowl and had to tease her because she looked like she was wearing, I don't know, it looked more like a Spanish court outfit.
I saw that.
I told her that the ballet was in town and the Nutcracker Suite was looking for their costume.
Well, and you know, Mayhem, Andy's husband is a vet. So this comes to a very big special place in her heart. So yeah.
Absolutely. So I will say this in closing. I hope that my across the desk was not offensive to my guests in any way, shape, or form. But I'm very adamant about people.
We loved it.
If you disagree, you still should have to make efforts to get along, because if the divide keeps getting bigger and bigger, nothing's going to happen.
Exactly.
And it's
agreed.
So there it is. We have a way of signing off. We're going to do that. The ship will take out of port, but you don't have to go anywhere yet, because nobody then will see us. I've seen a lot of great conversation on our watchers. I see that Mandy has caught some of them. I will tell you this, though, before we go off, let me say this. I'm going to go all the way back to the beginning and tell you, we have people watching us from Panama City Beach, St. Augustine, Florida, Michigan.
Wow.
Let's see, where else? I don't know where Nikki Kemper is from. That sounds familiar, though.
Nikki Kemper, please. She is like our extraordinaire.
Well, then she's watching the
We love
show.
Nikki. Yeah, yeah.
Never match up names and faces, and my only excuse is I'm old, and I let it do that.
Hi, Nikki.
Hey,
So,
Nikki.
Nikki, there's Nikki. She's watching. Very good. Of course, we have Mandy out in Utah. I don't see Captain Smoo on tonight. Captain Smoo watches us from Quebec, Canada.
Oh.
We have watchers from all over the world now, and it's been a fun ride. Like your ride of 13 years, we're only into it for 3. We've learned some things. We've had some fun. And this podcast has opened a few extra doors for us. So it'll be great when I'm no longer physically able to go and be that jolly fat guy or the Pirate Mayhem. I can sit here and do more shows.
Right.
So, what's that?
Sounds like a good plan.
That's my hope. That's my hope. Sit here with my dog and my cats and just talk. Wait a minute. That's what you guys do. I'll take my lessons from you. There you go, guys. So, Davey, do you have anything else you want to throw?
Oh, no.
Good. Mandy, you good? Anything you want to throw out? Good enough? How you doing out there in Utah?
Good. It snowed, so yeah. Yay.
Well, keep it. I don't need it. I don't want it here.
Let's hope it doesn't show up down there. It's done that a couple years ago when I was getting ready to come down there. You guys got frost.
I know.
So
and you will be out again at the end of January, right? For our pirate.
I will be in St. Augustine at the end of January. I'm heading to Miami in December.
Okay, very good. On that note, go ahead and put up there our sound off and our sign off. Take her away, Davey.
Part of the podcast.
Part of the crew.
Always. We can't do it without you. We could, but it would not be as much fun. It's more fun to have people with us. So, as always, you're welcome to be a part of our crew, and we look forward to seeing you next Monday night at 8 p.m. when we'll have new guests, new jokes. Don't like to brag about them, but we will have some fun. On that note, cheers to everyone.
Time of history's embrace, captain's quarters sets the pace.